Hello, everybody. Welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. Normally, I'd have a graphic over here, but I'm trying to do a little more FaceTime on my YouTube channel. Today, I have a project share for you. I've been super busy for the month of October, so I have a stack of layouts to share, and I have stacks. Here we go. There's the camera. And stacks and stacks and stacks of cards to share with you today. I will try not to keep you too long, but you might want to grab something to drink and sit back and relax for this one because it will take a little while. So let me change cameras over to my desktop so we can get started over there. All right, hopefully this is all good to go. I'm going to put these back off to the side and we'll slide those out of the way just a little bit. Let me make sure my mic is going to pick me up a little bit better. And I apologize for the audio. When I do live audio in my basement craft space, you are going to get the sound of the furnace that lives right over there. And I do my best to clean the audio up post, but it's not great, so it is what it is. Plus, I have a new mic, and I am experimenting with it. It's got a few quirks that I will have to learn how to work with. So let's start with the cards, because I've got this sitting on me with my stacks of cards here, and I don't want to knock them over and ruin them. I participated in the Crop and Create Delivered card making event yet again. I love their card making events. Even though I'm mainly a scrapbooker, I find it very hard in the scrapbooking events to take someone else's projects and put my photos and stories on them because they just don't seem to fit well. So I get a lot out of the card classes because I love playing with techniques. And if you've been here for a while, you know that I do a lot of technique-y videos. So let's start here. And this was at the beginning of October, or September 28th to October 1st, but I couldn't do a lot of it live because we had just come back from out of town, and then my daughter got COVID, so it was a bit busy here. But let us just look at these classes one by one. The first class was Gilded Techniques over at Crafter's Companion, taught by Sarah Davies, the owner of Crafter's Companion. And I will pull out one day's worth of card at a time. And so these were the cards for the class, and I stuck pretty closely to the class cards. So you can see I just mixed up the gilding flakes here to use a few different colors, and then I tried gilding on stamping, and it worked a little bit. There's a bit of a smudge. I think if I had waited for the glue to dry a little bit longer, that would have been better. So this was interesting to play with gilding flakes and to gild all the things. We did gild behind the butterfly, but I feel like the acetate lost some of that. But I liked this class more than I thought I would, because I thought it would be like loose glitter and drive me crazy with having specks of gilding flakes everywhere, but it was easier to clean up than glitter. So I'm going to play with those techniques a little bit more later. And then we moved on to Taylor Expressions, taught by Taylor herself. And I changed up the color palettes a little bit because this bright purpley pink is definitely not my thing. So I went with more blues and yellows so that these cards could work for anyone. And so I guess I did get in some of the pink on that one, and I added a little bit of stamping around. And then I guess I just played with the colors because this one's got peaches as well as the tealy blues in there. So that was that one. Oh, let's see. This one was interesting because it was a bit of an interactive card. So I should show you that one, I think. Oh, she also did show us. There we go. She has these pre-printed, toner printed, I think they're called insiders or something like that, where you can foil them. And so that was a bit of a bonus product that she had given us in the class kit. Next up was taught by Sarah Graff for scrapbook.com, and these were our 3 cards. Again, I stuck pretty closely with them. When you do the homework for the class, it makes it a little harder to kind of go off book. So most things I stick closely to the class, and I give the class an honest try so that I can, learn what the teacher intended and then let my ideas flow from there. Now, this one I did mix it up a little bit because I had a bit of an oops. And so I covered up my oops with a frame. I am not thrilled with it. I don't really like the stripes with the ombre background, but it is what it is at this point. Now, this one is, I think she calls it an infinity card. And honestly, I have never created anything like this before, so that was really fun. And this is actually pretty easy. Maybe at some point in the future I will have my own video on something along these lines, but at any rate, that was a fun one. And I am planning on sending a lot of these out for, well, these are thank yous, so I guess I'll save those for my daughter's teacher thank yous. But I had intended to do a lot of these for Thanksgiving and send them out for that. Now, let's see. This one is Angie Hunt for LDRS, and she is the owner of the company. And she was working with these gorgeous hummingbird and rose stamp sets. So again, I made the cards pretty much, oh, this one has a little secret inside. So pretty much like the class was intended. However, on this one, she intended the flower to kind of flow from the hummingbird's tail, and I just couldn't cover up the little hummingbird because it is one of my favorite critters. And then that one is pretty much like the class. So that was her class. Very fun. Now, if you don't know about Crop and Create, you get a huge box of supplies to go with all these classes, and each company creates their own kit of supplies so that you can follow along with the classes. You do need a good stash of, personal supplies to keep everything going, tools like your paper trimmer, ink pads, things like that. But I just love doing these classes. So next up we have Michelle Curie from Pink and Maine, and let me grab this stack of cards. And here are the cards from her class. Now, again, she's got some very bold colors in here, which is not quite my style. So I did change up the colors a little bit. So this one was all about foiling. So this is actually one of her foiling. It's kind of like a sticker or a rub-on. And so you rub the product down, you remove the backing acetate sheet, and then you apply the foil to it. So those are kind of fun if you don't have a laminating machine or any of the foiling products. You can buy these kind of sticky products, and it really is very, very flat. You don't feel a lot of dimension with them. So that is actually quite a fun product, and I will link you up to some of those because those were fun. But I do have a foiling machine, and I pulled out my toner foiling sheets, and I ran them through. I just have a cheap laminator from Amazon. Die cut the foiling sheets, die cut the toner sheets, applied my foil, ran them through the laminator, and then I got all of these foiled snowflakes. And it is really intense on the camera, but they definitely catch the light in person. Now, this one in the background is super, super intense, and that was done with, I think she has toner. I think that one was a toner sheet that we used from her product line. And then this one, I really needed to go with a softer, winterier color scheme. So I did my softer blending and have a purpley snowflake there with purpley foil in the background. So that was my version of that class. Next up, we have Honeybee, which usually is a lot of die cutting. They have a lot of intricate dies with lots of layers that go together. So this one was very intense with the homework, and I think this was probably, this one and Lawn Fawn usually have a lot of die cutting. These were the only two I did prep ahead of time, so everything else, and Spellbinders. I see it sitting there. Everything else I was trying to keep up with, but I didn't, so that's why it took me most of October to finish all of these projects. But these are just some lovely autumn No, this one is a die for all seasons. So it was a jumbo die set with various dies that could take you through the year of greetings. So we've got some autumn, we've got some kind of spring, and then we move into Christmas. And I don't remember what the summer vibe was for this, but I like the set and I imagine myself continuing to use it. And then Spellbinders was up next, taught by Kim Kesty. And I always love the Spellbinders and Kim Kesty's classes. So, in fact, I really enjoy most of these companies. Like I said, Marie Curie's color palette is definitely bolder than mine. And I'll talk about a few other changes as we go. But for the most part, I really, really love all of these classes. So this was a Merry and Bright. This was all a die cutting class. There was no stamping involved. So that was a bit of a change. Oh, I guess I only have the card front. I didn't turn it into a card yet. So that was the first one. This one was using a die set to create a shaped card. And then just a lot of lovely layering, and they included some pretty sparkly gems in there, and I love their brushed gold paper. In fact, I found a store near me that sells it, so I got myself a nice big pack. And then I had some leftovers, and I couldn't stop playing, so I kept going and trying to get my Christmas cards made through this class. So if you know me and you're watching, you might get one of these cards for Christmas. All right, next up was Simon Hurley for Ranger, and I did stick pretty much with Simon's techniques because he does a lot of mixed media, and I want to learn the techniques that he's sharing and learn the products that he's sharing. And so this one was pretty fun. I like this layering stencil that he actually put his gold lunar paste through. I'm sure it has a funny name because he always names his product colors with funny names that don't necessarily make a lot of common sense. I mean, they make sense in retrospect, but I'm wanting to know what he called this one now. Anyway, like he's got a color called Gur in his ink line. What color would you imagine Gur to be? So he's got color names like that. He's just a fun teacher. And then we were playing with all of his pastes, and this one you can see we've got lots of texture paste going on there, used in different ways. So this was a fun class. I like Simon. I like the mixed media. I like all of it. I just like all the things. Okay, I'm trying to keep you moving along so I don't keep you all night. This is the next stack. I do appreciate you being here, by the way. Thank you for sharing your time with me. There's a lot of ways you could spend your time, and I do appreciate that you're here and watching. So this was Gina K. Gina K has a very Gina K style, lots of black layering. So we got some typical Gina K things here. She did do some fun fold cards this time around, and I have never done a card like this, so it does stand up like that, so people can display it on their mantle. So I did change the color. Now, normally I don't do pink, but for some reason the yellow was not calling to me. Brains do weird things. So I did change it to pink. And then I played with purples because my middle kid's favorite color is lavender. So I played with some purples. And again, we've got a fun fold technique there. And then this one is it does have a card base to it, so it can stand up as a card. But really, this, and the overhead camera is great for this. This folds flat, so it will go in an envelope, but then it pops up, and all of these elements are attached to each other to keep the structure of this pop-up. And so that was a bit of a fun fold there. Let's see, I think... Oh, she was the beginning of a stack. Yep. Okay, I'm going to keep going. And then we have the Stamps of Life. Now, this is definitely one of the companies that I have a harder time with their style because they're very cute, and that is not my style. So I did my best to try and kind of make it a little more elegant towards my style. and I don't think it worked too well. Trying to use this glittery paper just didn't mix and match very well, but you know, I tried. These cards will still go out in the mail to loved ones, friends, and family for the holidays, but this was kind of a fun technique to hide a little bit of something inside the card, and when they open it, it'll fall out, and that'll be a fun little surprise. So I liked that idea. I try to stay open-minded about classes and pick up the ideas that I do like, even if the style isn't necessarily totally my thing. So I know everybody has different styles, so maybe this is your thing. And it definitely was a popular class during the event. And that is because her die set creates these interactive cards. Now for this one, we just used simpler dies to make a simpler card, but the die set included was definitely more interactive than that. So this was a very popular class. And then this one has an extra layer to it, if I can get it, so that it's even more interactive. So I like this one just a little bit better. I think the more solid colors worked a little bit better with the sparkly paper that I chose. So those will go out with my Christmas cards. And then we have Lawn Fawn, which is definitely a cute style. I did have a little bit of a hard time with Lawn Fawn in the beginning, but it's grown on me. It has definitely grown on me. I think some of the color combos help, and definitely creating the scenes helps too. So I don't know why some cute things don't click with me and some do. I don't know. Let's see. So these stuck pretty closely. I can move that up. Pretty closely to what the class was. I just mixed this one up a little bit. Maybe there was another mistake that happened, and so I needed to rotate the card or something. I don't remember why. So pretty close with that class as well. And I'm going to keep these in order for later. And then we had Brutus Monroe, and Christopher Allen is the owner of Brutus Monroe, which is named, I believe, after a dog that he had. Something like that. I think Brutus was a dog's name. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was doing watercoloring techniques, and that is totally my jam. So I absolutely loved this class, and coloring this bouquet and then playing with embossing powders and really finding this bold pop of color on top of black and white. I really liked that. I've often gone the other way where I have lots of color with pops of black. And so this kind of felt like the opposite of that in ways. And so these are Autumn Vibe cards that will go out for Thanksgiving. This one I changed up just a little bit because he had it vertical with their stenciling, and I don't know if you can see it, but how can I tip it? There's a little bit of the shine. So we actually heat embossed through the stencil, and then the embossing resisted the color that we put down on top of it. And then we did a bouquet with just pops of color. And just like I said, this is my jam. This one, we were watercoloring through the stencil, and I went with my own colors, and I totally loved it. But I was missing all of the pieces. Oh, that's this one here. I was missing all of the pieces. I don't know if I lost them or I just used them all up accidentally on the other cards. So I just did a quick alteration and came up with this. And because we were playing with embossing powders, this is a glittery embossing powder that I just created a whole sheet of embossed paper, basically, with the embossing glitter. And was able to rescue this card from all the pieces being missing. Okay, what's next? We've got Concord and Ninth, taught by Kathy Zilski, and I'm a huge Concord and Ninth fan. I really like the graphic look. I think that's why Lawn Fawn, the cuteness of Lawn Fawn is working for me, because it also has a graphic scene style to it that I can relate with, as opposed to some of the very cute Christmas stockings and things like that. Again, I don't know. I'm talking through it because I'm trying to help my brain put it into words, and I just don't know yet. So I kept fairly close to these ones. I did change up the greetings just to make them more of cards that I would be able to send out. So there's that one. And then this one I had just die cut a whole bunch of extra pieces. And so I just played with more of a monochromatic card with that one. So that was Concord and Ninth, which is it's probably my favorite stamp company right now. And I'm using all of their ink colors right now. So I'm a little bit obsessed with that one. Next up is Altenew, and I think Altenew's products are beautiful, but I don't have a lot of people to send flowers to, and most of their products have to do with flowers. And while I love them and they're beautiful, I don't have a reason to buy them a lot because I don't scrapbook with a lot of flowers and I don't send a lot of flower cards to people. So I think maybe I need to start making wall art just so I can enjoy them. At any rate, I'm keeping you longer again. So I did stick largely with the cards from this class. Hold on a second. All right. My daughter needed something, so sorry for the interruption. So anyway, I changed this up just a little bit. I really love navy blue right now, and so I had to have a navy blue flower. And then she used gold pigment ink, and instead of using that, I went back to my gilding flakes from the Crafter's Companion class, and I've already lost track of where that one was. It was here somewhere. Oh, it's probably in this stack. Yeah. So the gilding flakes that we used for the Crafter's Companion class, there's a special glue that you use, like a stamping ink. And I used that glue stamp pad through the stencil that goes with this to create a gilded frame. So that was fun. And then for this final card, I kind of went with Christmas colors because I'm going to give this as a hostess. Oop, I still have tape inside from taking pictures. I'm going to give this as a hostess thank you when we go to our annual Christmas party celebration that our friend hosts every year. So I went with some Christmas colors. I figured if I'm going to have these floral if I'm going to have these flowers in my stash, I've got to think of ways to use them and make them usable for me. So turning them into Christmas colors, and the stamp set is all about perfect gifts. And it says spending time with you is the perfect gift. So I thought that would work great for going to a party and having a thank you for the hostess. So that is working for me. I am losing track of my stacks at this point, which is why I wanted to do this first. All right, so we've got Libby Hickson for Hero Arts, and I love Hero Arts again. Libby does a lot of mixed media stuff. Totally my jam. Love it, love it. In fact, I loved it so much that I signed up for their holiday class, which is happening this weekend. I am not ready at all. And I've got some events this weekend, so I don't think I will get to them on time. So stay tuned for a card share later on after I get those classes done. We were using their rub-ons, which actually have a very nice texture to them, and they're very sturdy. They're not coming off. Oh, I just said that, and now I'm thinking that one was coming off. But it could be that I just didn't apply it well enough. But these are very sturdy. And this card I totally loved because I have not done this before. We gold embossed an outline floral image, and then we used shimmery watercolors from Daniel Smith. And let me grab that actually. Daniel Smith produces these little dot cards for various companies, including Hero Arts. And the paints from Daniel Smith are very expensive because they are very highly pigmented, high quality paints. So getting dot cards is a great way to affordably get a variety of colors. You can sample colors, and if you're ready to invest in a full tube of paint, you can do it that way. But the shimmer paints do show up on dark cardstock, and they are gorgeous. And I tell you, the camera is not picking that up as much as it should, but this card is beautiful, and I want to do this technique more. We use the same paints and gold embossing, just on white cardstock instead. And then we had a bit of a bonus card, just playing with some watercoloring. And that's not my favorite watercoloring job, but hey, I played. And then I just finished this class right before I started filming. And this one is Nicole Peterson, who is the owner of Picket Fence Studios. And she shared, let me grab those two. She has newish paper pouncers on the market, which are these very dense foam. They're makeup sponges that are anchored well into these handles, so they're not going to pull out of there. They're not going to go anywhere on you. And they have these storage pods, I think is what she calls them, storage pods, which is kind of nice because when you're using them, and then you can just set it down and it won't get inky. These do feel, I'm getting used to them. The idea of them at first was a little awkward, but she touts them as being great for people with hand mobility issues. And I am starting to have some hand issues, and finding ways to make my crafty life less stressful on my hands is a good idea. While my hands are minor right now, I should think about tools like this that can keep my hands from going bad, because I'm hoping that I have a few more years to live, and I'd like my hands to keep on crafting that whole time. So we were using these to, we pounced color onto die cuts, and that was super fast. You just kind of ink, pounce, and you're done. So that part I liked a lot. We did use it through stencils to do these layered stencils. It definitely works. It definitely is fast. I think what I was missing from this method as opposed to using blender brushes is that you can't get a variation or a gradient of color very easily. So these definitely have their uses, but they're not as flexible as blending brushes, but they are easier on people's hands. So that's the pros and cons of that. Oh, I didn't really show you the cards, did I? This one, I made a mistake, and then I kept going, and I didn't like all of the things. I kept trying to fix that mistake and then fix the next mistake that I made. But anyway, it's done. It will go out in the mail, even though I think I could have done a better job. People who get it in the mail won't know that it didn't come out how I intended. And then this one I really liked. Again, I changed up the colors from more bold colors to a milder color palette that fits my style a little bit. So that is cards. Okay. I think I've kept you going here for longer than I intended, but I knew that would happen. So let's go ahead and move over to layouts. October is a Layout a Day challenge over at scraphappy.org, and I've been a member, happy member over there for quite a while now. And loads happen in February, May. There's a mini load for just 1 week instead of Layout a Day for a month. And then the October load is for members only. The other load challenges can be purchased aside from the actual Scrap Happy membership for anybody who wants to just do load. At any rate, Layout a Day means I've got a stack of layouts. I'm wondering if I got these mixed up with... You know, when you do 30 layouts in a day, you get forgetting what you've done. I did do some digital pages because that helps me get to pages on days that are busy. So this shouldn't be 30 layouts. At any rate, this was a page I created from products from my scrapbooking cards sampler kit, which I open and do a project for every month. But this was a second project that I did with that kit, but I didn't do a video for it. Now, some of these have videos that I just haven't edited yet, and they will be coming, and that will be some of my November news. This one was very personal journaling, so I'm not going to touch on that one too much, but that was kind of my mental health day, doing some art journaling that counts as my layout. This one was just about the bunnies in our neighborhood that kept me entertained during the early days of COVID. The bunnies are no longer there. They were pet bunnies that had gotten loose somehow and created a whole bunny colony. People were not happy with the bunny colony, so the bunnies went away. This one was, I had fun playing with mixed media and watercoloring to create a very happy, fun layout. This one was a layout from a Crop and Create delivered scrapbooking event. Like I mentioned, I have a hard time getting my photos and my stories onto other people's layouts. Partially because most of my photos are just very candid photos, and the more candid quality of the photo doesn't match with the more formal, beautiful, stylized quality of a lot of the layouts that come in these classes. So I do have a stack of these pre-designed layouts that are over in my bin that just sit there because I have such a hard time. And if you take classes, scrapbooking classes, what is your approach? Are you able to get your photos on there? Because I tell you, as a scrapbooker, that is one of the things I struggle with. So I stopped taking scrapbooking classes because it's been so hard. I haven't figured it out. This one was just about my middle kid going through, changes in her style and me. She's off in college, so that was a lot of my personal feelings about not being there to watch her grow and change as much as I used to be. So a little bit of a sad one, bittersweet one there, I should say. This one was just about having something that took a picture of something that inspires me on a regular basis. This one was just a theater layout for my youngest kid. Let's see, I'm hoping that I don't have anything private in here as I've got through some of those more sensitive journaling ones. I'm wondering. This one I hate this layout. And I've changed it once already to try and make it work better for me, and I still hate it. So it is what it is. I wanted to document this certificate of appreciation that I had gotten, and it just didn't come out. So when you're doing a layout a day, they're not all winners. This one I really liked telling the story, but again, I didn't spend very much time thinking choices through, and this peachy kind of clashes with the green, I think. And while I had fun making these embellishments, I think my use of them is not the best, but it's okay. This one I do like. It was a Vicki Boutin product page documenting that vacation that I mentioned earlier, or some of the vacation. I'm going to have even more vacation documenting like this one. And this one is another Vicki Boutin page. And in fact, I did 2 of the same layouts because I will be doing 3 sets of documenting this vacation. One for my oldest kid, one for my middle kid, one for my middle kid, one for my youngest kid, and then one for the family albums. So as I'm working, I will try to do double or triple layouts, and that saves time when I can. And I won't have enough products to do them all quite as similar as this, but I will pull out products that I can work into the same layout design. And I've got some actual ephemera here. I'm trying not to lose track of that. So my paper clips, paperclip my notes here into whose album it goes in, and I have the dates on here and what the story is, so that when I store my photos with the notes and then I make the layout, I can clip the notes on, and that way it helps me file them away later. And I always file my layouts in chronological order, but I don't scrap in chronological order. So this system helps me make sure they get to where they need to be when I'm done. And then this was more vacation, more Vicki Boutin. I visited my brother for the first time in 15 years on this trip, and he met my youngest kid for the second time. She was like less than a year old the first time he saw her. So that was a very important story for me to tell. Little bit more sensitive stuff, so we'll skip that one. I'm going to scooch that one off screen. That one was about hard relationships, so don't need to share that one. But I do scrap the hard stuff. Even if I don't share it, I do talk about scrapping it, and I do tell you to scrap it, because I think those stories matter, because our lives are full of the good and the bad, the ups and the downs. And if we only document the good times, we're being dishonest. So that's my soapbox. And here it's back to more happy vacation layouts. So that is that. This one I was excited about because I watercolored this background paper all myself. It's not perfect, but it's the first time I've taken on such a big, complicated project. So, and I do have that as a video if you want to go back and catch that. I had a good time with that. This one doesn't have a note. I have not been putting notes on layouts that just come off the top of my head. A lot of the stories I scrapbook have photos and the story notes already saved in my story binder. But when I document things that don't have those saved in my story binder, I don't have my notes to clip on there, which makes it hard to organize later. But yeah, I just don't have a system for that yet. But this is a story about my mom befriending a squirrel on her deck, and how I probably got my love of animals partially from her anyway. This one was another mixed media background that I just had a super fun time playing with, and a cheeky little title that is a bit funny compared to the kind of elegant background there. So that one was fun. This one was a guest designer for the load challenge, where I had to use the prompt and show it off. And sometimes the prompts don't quite fit your own life. So part of being the guest designer is to show how you make them work for your own scrapbooking. So this was like a family story that I told. This one was documenting just about how I love puzzly type games. So that was that. This one was documenting some more theater life, and how I've taken on a big theater volunteer project this month for my youngest kid. Let's see, we've got some more travel documentation, and this one goes in the family album. And again, I haven't even organized all of my photos from that trip yet, and I've started scrapbooking them. This one was documenting my love of doing the card making class. So this was a layout that I made with a lot of the supplies from the class. In fact, I've got gilding flakes from the gilding class. I've got rub-ons from the scrapbook.com class. The pattern paper was from that same class. The die set that I used was from that class. We've got the perfect gift stamp set from the Altenew class. So yeah, all of this product, except for I No, even the even the craft cardstock background was from that box. So from all of the card making supplies, I made myself a scrapbook layout, and I love to do that. It surprises me when I hear of card makers who don't want to scrapbook. That surprises me less. But then scrapbookers who don't want to make cards, that surprises me more because it's paper. Don't you just love to play with paper? I do. So anyway, moving on. This was me and my brother on that vacation, and I just played with mixed media again. This was documenting some older... Nope, this is still part of Load. I'm not remembering. I don't think this one was part of Load. I think I did this previously. I don't remember. Anyway, this is an older photo that I was documenting of a much older story. I'm not sure this one was part of Load or done in October. This one was. I do distinctly remember doing this one because this is more theater layouts. And I had started one of the photos from this show because my daughter had spilled paint down the front of her and just missed getting it on her costume because there was a prop mishap. And so I had started documenting this show with that story, and I had created a hugely messy mixed media background. And then for the rest of the photos, I decided to stick with the same mixed media product, which is this texture shimmery stencil paste. And so I'm sticking with the same textural mediums and color palette to document the whole show. And so I had the final layout for that show using those same products. That was a long explanation for a short story. Okay, that actually does look like, okay, I did grab more than I needed to. So there you go. That is the end of the layouts that I actually created this month, besides the digital pages, which I have shown in the past, but I didn't have my act together. I'm just trying to get this video done so that I can get it out to you. So that is it for this time around. Thank you again for being here, for sharing your time with me. I do appreciate it. I'm glad that I am doing something that is interesting enough for you to stick around. I should be back later this week, so this video is going out on Monday. I should be back Wednesday and Friday with my typical video schedule. I won't have typical videos, and that's what I wanted to talk about for the rest of November. Because I do have this big volunteer project, and because I have video filming left over from October, I will be editing those videos and popping them in through November so that I have time to get to the volunteer project that I'm doing instead of creating a lot of new content. Now, I will try and keep up with several of the projects that I do on a regular basis for November, including some mixed media hops that I do. I will also be doing my sampler kit again this month. So those things will stay the same, but I will have some of these older these older project videos to share. Now in December, things will be totally different. Last year I bought, and let me show you, I bought this kit. It's a crafty advent calendar, and I had been looking for something like this for several years. I do advent calendars with my kids every year, and one time I got this idea that I need a crafty advent calendar for myself, and I looked and couldn't find something that was reasonably priced. I found things in the $150 range, but that was more than I wanted to spend. And then Spellbinders came out with these crafty advent calendars last year, and I bought it as soon as I found out. And it was fantastic. I opened the box every single day on schedule. I did not do this ahead of time, and created a video short every day for the 24 days of the advent calendar. And I'm going to do that again this year. So my December videos will consist mainly of this. I will have a couple of other things here and there, But with the holidays and my daughter's play will be happening in December, and that's the thing that I'm volunteering for. And this Crafty Advent, I'm going to be busy for December, so this will be the product or the project that will keep me the most busy. So I hope you will go back and watch my shorts from last year and check out what I did. I'm trying to remember. I do use these supplies, even though they're card making focused. I use them for scrapbooking, and I think you can too. And I will say that over and over again because I love it. I'm hoping that I can share that love with you guys. And if this is not your thing, maybe I can help it be your thing. Or maybe, just maybe, you can say no thank you. And I will accept that. So at any rate, I will put that away and I will say, let me shift back to, there we go. There we go. That cuts out more of the mess in my background. I will say once again, thank you for being here, and I hope you will join me for future videos, especially if you're new here and you sat through my long rambling explanation of everything. I do appreciate it. Really, really do. All right. Bye-bye. Oops. Gotta get on camera. I gotta get used to this back camera thing. See you later.